My name is Saad Ali. I'm a software engineer here at Google, and I'm joined by another engineer, Vikas.
I'm Ville Aikas.
So Vikas has been working on Knative. What is Knative? What is the problem that it's aiming to solve? And what are customers going to get out of this?
Sure, that's a great question. So with the Knative, we are really targeting at solving the developer-facing problems that you have with Kubernetes, which is there's a very heavy cognitive load for understanding the system and being able to operate it. So it's very good at targeting operators. With the Knative, we are trying to go ahead and make running your applications on Kubernetes super easy and simple, so that when you come into it, you're like, hey, I just want to write code. Here's my code, don't screw it up. That's what we tried to help you solve.
So how does that actually work? Is this like a platform that will be deployed on top of Kubernetes and then you deploy against it?
Yeah, so it basically is adding few CRDs. They are very principled, so we have a build, so that because in the serverless land, you typically think about the source code. Again, we don't want you to think about how does that get into running code, so we have something that is source. So source handles how do you go and take bits from GitHub and turn in the running code. So we have a build. There's some CRDs that handle that for you. We also have serving, which actually decides how do you want to go and run your software, as in, these are like, if you want to do route manipulation, do canaries, experiments, and everything else like that, we make that very easy for you. And also, we have another set of CRDs for eventing. So typically, in the serverless land, many people think of serverless only as functions, but it's not, as I mentioned. But we also handle the eventing, so that if you want to go ahead and, for example, say, hey, I just got some data in cloud storage, I would like to transform it, which is kind of like the canonical example. Yeah. We make that easy for you as well. We can say, hey, when this happens over here, run this code for me over there.
And does the code need to be in any specific language, or?
Nope, absolutely not. So there's a couple of things. We think of everything as containers. Mm-hmm. So whatever you put in that container is up to you. Also, we don't really make a really big of a distinction between whether it's a function or whether it's an application, because in both ends, you have some code that you want to run. So we don't make you, as a developer, have to choose your tool chain up front. You can just say, hey, here's my code, and then we decouple the what do you want to do with it? Run to respond to events, or run it as in response to user stuff.
Huh, that sounds awesome. So what's the current status of this project?
We just released a 0.2 version, and we are working hard on getting 0.3 in early January. And we are trying to get to 1.0 in the late summer, early fall, with the heavy focus on operational aspects, so that we can actually do things like upgrade and so forth for you.
And this will be available to GKE customers as an add-on, or?
Yeah. So actually today at the keynote, they demoed a little bit of that. So when you come into GKE, you have a little checkbox where you can say, sprinkle some serverless goodness on me, Knative me.
Nice, that's super cool. So is this a project that's being led only by Google, or is there involvement outside? Is it an open source project?
Yeah, it's an open source project. It's on github.com/Knative. And we definitely wanted to go and build a big tent, bring a lot of friends, because there's a lot of experience in this space, and we didn't want to come in and say like, oh, we know it all. Yeah. We really wanted to go and bring our friends, understand how do we build the best system possible, because a lot of these problems were being solved by many companies at the same time. So let's solve those boring problems once, yeah, and then focus on building really cool things for the developers.
That's awesome. And is this what serverless is? I've heard that word so many times, but I don't really understand it. Can you explain it to me?
So for serverless, it means different things to different people. To me, yeah, it basically means a couple of different things. It means that you, as a developer, don't have to worry about things like infrastructure, okay? So the infrastructure kind of gets hidden away for you. The second point is you should only pay for what you use. So if you have some application that is not taking any traffic, or you have a function that is not being executed, you shouldn't have to pay for that. And lastly, it should also mean you should be able to go ahead and be idiomatic, meaning you shouldn't have to learn a new way of doing things. If you want to write some code, and then you just say, run it for me. And lastly, we want to make sure, this is something that we've heard a lot from our customers in the past, which is it should be free of lock-in. So I want to be able to run anywhere I want to do. So there obviously are solutions in this space, but some of those don't meet the criteria for the last one, which is I want to run it wherever I want to run it.
Cool. So for folks who want to get involved either in development or to kick the tires, where would they go? What would they do?
Sure. GitHub.com/Knative, all one word. There's a lot of great ways to get involved there. We obviously welcome people to come in and contribute, whether it's in the form of filing issues or feature requests or looking at the documentation and experimenting with things or actually putting together some PRs. Come on, come help us.
Awesome. Well, hopefully people will take a look at that and start getting involved. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about KubeCon. So this is not your first KubeCon. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I've been involved with Kubernetes from pretty much the very first days. So after Joe and Brendan and Greg, I was the next person contributing code to it. So been around for a while in that space. Yeah, so been around the Kubernetes block.
Yeah, I mean, so you were one of the original co-founders of Kubernetes, and you're, the fifth Beatle, so to speak.
Yes.
How have you seen things evolve since then?
Oh my goodness, this is just amazing seeing so many people here. It just blows my mind. It's amazing. Every KubeCon I go to, I go like,
bigger
how
and
can it
bigger.
get bigger and bigger and bigger? Yes,
Absolutely.
And it does.
Cool. So last question, and I'll put you a little bit on the spot. What is the coolest memory or your favorite memory of KubeCon ever?
I have to say it's the first one. It was just the fact that it was like, here's a party, does anybody show up? And it was like, yeah, actually, people showed up. And then here we are. But yeah, the first one it was.
People definitely showed up. All right,
Yes.
it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
your time.
very much.
Thank you.